you have to be crazy, allow yourself to be crazy, because if they don't call you crazy, I don't think you're doing enough. Have you ever had to defend a robot that was jailed? That was us. We were defending the robot so that it's not jailed when we're in run. We're not even in our own country. So I'd want obviously a lot to be automated.
And this was when it was in front of
everyone,
a bunch of kids.
My parents would call me stubborn because I wanted to take something or just watch TV. I'd take it as something bad, but I slowly realized that stubbornness is what gives me the resilience to continue. If something is not working out, I'd still be stubborn till it works out.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast, where we bring you the bold and unfiltered stories of entrepreneurs that take risks, dream big, and redefine what's possible. I'm Vaidehi Tembekar, the host, and today we're going to share the story of Zerobionic. They are making education, STEM education, more accessible for deaf and hard-hearing students using AI-powered humanoid robots. This season, we're bringing you the roller coaster journey of African entrepreneurs. The wins, the losses, the 1% better every single day. In the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast, we highlight stories that are bold, raw, relatable, unfiltered, courageous, and inspiring. I'm Vaidehi Tembekar, and I'm the host of the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast. And we have with us the co-founder, Norah Kimathi. Welcome, Norah.
Hi, Vaidehi. I'm super excited to be here. It's been such a long time since we last talked, and I can't wait to kick things off.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. In fact, I know the first time we actually met was at a pitch competition.
Yeah.
When both of us were pitching our startups.
Yeah.
And I remember when you pitched, I was like, oh my God, I was in awe of the impact that you guys were creating, the solution that you had, and I knew I had to bring you on and share your story. So again, thank you so much for being on. I know there's a lot to unpack in terms of Zerobionic, but I want you to start by telling me a little bit about your background and kick us off from there.
Definitely. I just thought I should mention that I remember when we first met, we met by mistake.
Before pitching, yes, I remember.
So we didn't know we were both going on stage at each other. If you're going for a competition, you don't tell the other person you're going for a competition. So seeing you on stage was also quite mind-blowing. I just thought I should mention that. But anyway, as everyone heard, my name is Norah Kimathi, a co-founder at Zerobionic. So probably just to take you back, from back when I was little. Mm-hmm. So we stayed at quite a big household. We were, I think, 15 in one
15?
house. Yeah, we used to stay with my cousins, my aunts, my uncles. So you can imagine the resources were a bit constrained.
But a fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure chaos.
Yeah, I thrive off of people being around me. So it was quite fun. Sure. However, when something broke, rest assured your mother is not calling a plumber to come fix something. So anytime there was a problem, we'd always have to solve it ourselves. So I think that whole having a problem, finding a solution type of thing is what came into me. So the entrepreneurial spirit started from there. Fast forward to joining high school. I joined the Global Give Back Circle. I don't know if you know about it, GGBC. Okay. So we were taught about business ideals, the entrepreneurship journeys, how to grow from where you are, from grassroots levels to global impact. So from that point, I think I kind of said, okay, actually this is something that's happening and I can build up on it. So in my first year of uni, I started a climate initiative where we were solving climate-related health issues for people with cardiovascular diseases. It picked up quite well, but I was joining uni, Strathmore University.
Okay.
And then things were getting a bit hectic. In computer science, when you're in your final year, when you're in your final semester of first year, is when things start becoming hot.
Sure.
So I think I put a halt on it. And then fast forward to, I started mentoring students in STEM, that is science, tech, engineering, engineering and math because I really had a passion for it. And that's where Zerobionic came about. We're going to talk more about that. But fast forward to a few months ago, I reinvented or rather rewrited the story of the climate initiative I had when I went to the UAE. And then I officially launched it again.
Amazing.
So my entrepreneurial journey has just been more of bumps, but continual growth and compoundment of it iteratively.
Amazing. I love that it started from such a young age. And you said that no, a plumber wouldn't come home. It was you, 15 kids running around fixing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you studied computer science then at university.
Yeah.
And when did you graduate?
This year. This
Okay,
year is when
yes.
I'm set to graduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say I think, were building Zerobionic whilst you were at university, right?
Yeah.
And I think we'll talk about the opportunities that got you there.
Yeah.
But I've given a brief on Zerobionic. It's obviously super exciting. So let's just dive into what it is, what you're building today, the problem that you're solving, and go from there.
Definitely. So Zerobionic is an assistive technology company where we're building humanoid robots that do sign language. So initially we started by building robotic hands that could do sign language, but now we're building full-on humanoid robots. We're hoping to pioneer this field in Africa, but we are building the largest African sign language dataset and STEM dataset as well, because we did realize that this is a niche that is lacking. So specifically in STEM related courses, since it's so complex, there are no signs.
Right.
These kids are basically told, you just learn basic human communication, go to the very simple careers or courses, and now learn that. So now we wanted to solve that problem where we are not the only ones who can get access to such dignified job opportunities, courses, or even education.
Yeah.
So we can bring access to everyone and bring respect to this field in STEM.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Firstly, I think let's take a step back. Explain to us what humanoid robots actually are.
I get that question a lot, but I don't know how best to answer that question because, in Africa, it's many people are not embracing robots simply because everyone is like, they're going to come under my bed and kill me. But the reality is that I usually tell everyone, we need to embrace change.
Sure.
First world countries are embracing AI and they're on top of the charts, but we ourselves need to embrace it so that we can as well get into that race.
Right.
So for Zerobionic, how these humanoid robots would work in general words, think of Zoom. So a Zoom-like platform.
Yeah.
So you as a trainer, as you're speaking, whatever you're speaking is being directly translated into sign language by the humanoid robot. So it's taking a more of a one-on-one communication.
Sure.
Whereby you speak and it's signed, and then we have a camera embedded, or rather a screen embedded on the robot on its chest, and you as the person who's signing, whatever you're signing is being translated into voice to the trainer's ears. So I remember at that time, me and my co-founder were in uni.
Yeah.
We still are. So we're trying to bring in the whole aspect of remote learning.
Right.
Whereby we don't necessarily need to be on ground. We can still teach them from where we were.
Right.
So that's where the Zoom-like platform came in. So we are able to receive the voice input from where we are, from the comfort of our homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what made you get into this? Like how it's such a niche problem to solve. How did you identify that the problem existed in the first place?
Definitely. So I remember when I was telling you about when I stopped my climate-related initiative, or I put it to a halt, we started mentoring young students in STEM. So at that time, we were moving with an organization called Young Scientists Kenya. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they do a lot of things in science, tech, engineering, and math. So as we were moving from school to school, we happened to encounter some hearing impaired kids.
Right.
They couldn't hear, and actually some couldn't speak. So the sign language interpreter, who's usually there, folded his hands quite literally and told us there are no signs for the technical words you're trying to explain.
God.
Yeah. So these kids are only taught basic human communication. So
and they still have to sit through those classes?
Definitely. Can you imagine? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rest are nodding their heads in understanding, but for them, they are nodding because they don't want to seem like they're being left out.
Right.
So what we had to do for the subsequent sessions was remove our phones, as small as they were at that time.
Yeah.
We were still young, pull out images of what we were trying to explain and the corresponding words. So whatever was meant to be a 1 hour session was over 7 hours of frustration. So I think at that time, my co-founder was working on prosthetics for amputated individuals.
Okay.
So now we're just seated, we're brainstorming. Okay, how can we bring access to this space? We have our robotic hands that we're using for amputees. We have this problem where these people are not understanding STEM, and just came to us. Since sign language is done using fingers, why can't we use these robotic hands to do sign language? And I guess that's when we identify that we can come about this technology. And remember, we were training in STEM, so that's why we decided, okay, it's this specific niche.
Right.
Saying hello, my name is something very simple in sign language, but a chemical equation, how do you
do that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like what's really interesting, and I think what helped is the intersection of obviously what you were studying and the projects that you were working on to come up with the solution. Because I feel like for someone else, it's maybe like, hey, how do we find or train more teachers to be able to sign language certain words, right?
Yeah.
And scale that versus actually building this technology. So that makes a lot of sense. But I think it comes with so much complexity in itself. Think about it. When a teacher is teaching their students, you're working with different tones, you're working with different accents, you're working with different languages. So how do you overcome that?
Yeah. That now takes us back to the sleepless nights.
Right.
So we have to go from school to school in urban areas, rural areas, semi-rural areas, just getting the different accents, the different kinds of pronunciations in different settings.
Right.
So that's where all the hard work comes in. However, you remember when I mentioned that we started using the arms initially, but now we have the full-on robot. So the whole essence of having the full robot with the face is because we are picking up on the non-verbal cues, the facial expressions, and everything that comes with it, apart from just your voice delivery. So we're able to pick up on very different things. So you're not saying you're sad, yet you're smiling.
Right.
Right. So it's able to pick up on so many things just apart from your voice. So the different variations in just everything. Because, when it comes to, let's say, different cultures, when they're saying yes, they do this.
Yeah.
So we are able to have those different variations with the full-on robot. It just takes a bit of training in very different areas. For example, right now we're in very many countries which have very different variations when it comes to even the tone, as you say, the accents. So we just have to keep training and improving. And the good thing with AI algorithms, with machine learning, with everything, it improves over time with whatever data you give it. So that's the difference between a human being and a machine, because it improves over time based off of the data you give it.
Exactly. What countries are you in today? You've been running for how many years? 4 years?
It's been 3 years.
3 years.
We are close enough with me.
Okay.
Yeah, but then, no, it depends. Do you mean when the idea came? Because I know, you can have an idea and you're working on it, but before you actually call it a company, it's like 1 to 2 years.
True.
But let me just say it's been 3 years now in the market. We are now in Kenya, Rwanda, Switzerland, Australia, Namibia, and South Africa. So we've been in talks with the governments in the UAE to just kind of like get this into their schools and see how that will be. Because at the end of the day, our main focus was in schools, just to bring this access into schools.
Yeah.
However, with the rise of robots, with AI, you do realize we need to tailor our systems to be accustomed to these individuals.
Sure.
So just having this in our day-to-day activities or in every room will definitely be an advantage. So we start off with schools, and then we'll see whether we can move on to other sectors.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you've mentioned like 3 or 4 countries. Kenya, Rwanda makes sense. Australia, and which one did you say? Switzerland? A bit random, I think. Like it's, you start in Kenya, I think the natural progression is, okay, where else in Africa can I get to, right? So what was the decision around Switzerland and Australia? How did that happen?
Okay, so our main focus is bringing access to STEM.
Sure.
So the Global Learning Council in Switzerland pinpointed us as STEM enabler in Africa in 2024. So I guess that was more of an opening for us to enter the third world countries or rather West. So that's how we got into Australia. And now recently, one of my co-founders was in Argentina. So that kind of also opened ways for us in Australia, among other countries in those other areas. So I guess just that, you know how one specific opportunity can open you up to the whole world. So kind of like working with the GLC to get access to their schools is what made us tap into that market.
That's amazing. And I think what's really cool is that you are actually building for the global market, right? It's not for a particular market or a particular country, but it's like the global market, and it's a problem that cuts across the world, essentially. When someone becomes your customer, what does that mean? They're buying a robot or they're paying for a subscription? Like, how does that work?
Okay, so it's divided. Our business is divided into a 3-tier model.
Sure.
Where you buy the robotic exoskeleton. You can buy the robotic exoskeleton. You can now lease the robotic exoskeleton as well.
Okay.
And then as well, after you buy the robotic exoskeleton, now we have the SaaS platform. Think of it like DSTV. Did you use DSTV?
Yes, we did. And you have to buy the decoder first.
And then the
Yes,
subscription.
exactly.
Yeah? So, you can have the robot, but you can't do anything without it if you don't have the software. So we have the basic, the premium, and the advanced with various features, whereby, for example, when it comes to the premium package, we have a 2G, 4G wireless network we've constructed that can work offline. So for schools in remote areas such as let me just say remote areas.
Okay.
Everyone will put a place to it. In remote areas where there's no internet connection, they're able to get access to this resource offline, because at the end of the day, in most African schools, phones are not allowed.
Yeah.
So getting access to a phone where you can probably have these generative images or probably the captive avatars being displayed is not something that can work out for them.
Right.
So that's why our focus is in education. So probably when we go to other countries where phones are allowed or they have access to screens, we're able to have the online functionality. But so we have the software, we have the hardware, and then we have now the avatars that we lease or rather we sell for conferences, and specifically tech conferences, because we do realize that in most tech conferences, there's no interpreter.
Right.
They don't know how to interpret engineering concepts.
Yeah.
So that's the third business tie.
Nice. Okay. Amazing. I think what I was reading about this a little bit, and I realized that you took it a step further in terms of sustainability, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, but what I was reading is that all the robotic arms are made out of recyclable materials. I guess you have that climate background a little bit, but like, how did that happen?
I guess it all boils down to when you spoil something. I don't want to say spoil, but when you're working on something that consumes a lot of energy and a lot of power, you have to find a way to offset it on this other way. We don't want to build the future while we're spoiling the future at the same time.
Sure.
So that's where recycling comes in. So far we've been able to employ over I'd say 120 street kids who collect plastics, tires that we recycle to make the plastic spool that we make the hardware exoskeleton now of the robots. So the main agenda there is to promote employment for these people who collect this plastic waste, and as well now to bring about the aspect of environmental conservation. Yeah. So far, we've been able to recycle over 10,000 kilograms of plastic waste. And I think that just boils down to us being able to conserve the environment, because climate has become a very hot topic as we speak.
Sure.
Obviously, as we advance, we can even tell in Kenya right now, it's been such a long time since we saw the rains. I don't know when the last
I agree.
Yeah. So, obviously conserving the environment and just having these very hot climate topics just on the table is something major.
Yeah.
So that's why we focus on that. So as a result, as well, we're able to reduce the cost of our robotic exoskeletons by over 40% as compared to a normal day-to-day robotic exoskeleton. And that is why now we sell it at a subsidized price of $5,000 as compared to the normal $500,000 that one would go for, which makes so much sense, because every time I think of selling these robotic exoskeletons to these people, I'm just like, would a local salesman afford this for their kid who's hearing impaired?
Yeah. I love that. That's such a great mission, and like just tying everything together. So you're essentially a hardware and a software company, right?
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, I want to zoom out a little bit now and just talk about your journey, right? Your journey building Zerobionic. Talk a little bit about like how the prototype has evolved over the last few years. I feel like that keeps changing, right?
Yeah. So initially, I think we used to have the hands, as I had mentioned.
Yeah.
So we had it till here.
Okay.
Till here, because it was just signs.
Yeah.
Then we now proceeded till the limb. we proceed till the limb. And then now we had till the elbow. And then now we had till here, and then we proceeded the whole thing. So I remember I was telling you, when it comes to, let's say, for example, your face, you have over 90 billion parameters on your face.
Wow.
So just different markup points that I were able to pick up from computer vision and all that.
Right.
Whenever you're talking, as we converted it to sign language. So that's why we decided to build something that actually has a face. So every time we're thinking about it, we want to bring about dignified learning and inclusion. The same way you'd have a teacher teaching you, we'd want these kids to feel like they have someone standing in front of them, even if it's a robot, but not them just seeing a hand. And that's why we moved from a hand to a full-on robot. So currently, as we speak, that's what we're building. I remember I told you our main focus is in education. However, we do want to advance to other sectors. I don't know if you've used Emirates airline.
Yes. Yeah.
Recently.
Not recently. No, not for I think like 7 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a long time.
Okay. So the next time we use it, there's the screen that's usually at the front there. So the avatars that are there are actually our doing. So we partnered with Emirates Foundation to just have the sign language interpretation on their airlines.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I have to fly Emirates for this.
Make sure you send me a video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
So that's what we're building up towards as we speak.
And it seems like you're testing out a bunch of different revenue streams, I guess, or different types of customer segments. To see what makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially because of scalability as well. We can't have a robot on an aircraft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us like a little bit, I know it must have been a roller coaster journey for the last more than 3 years if you're talking from idea stage. What's been maybe one of the most unexpected challenges that you've faced to date?
I mean, obviously it would be getting people to actually see that you being in this space that you're pioneering is something that is actually worth it.
Yeah.
When something is starting off, nobody sees the vision.
Right.
I remember I was reading a story about how Airbnb started. And, I'm actually thinking about the concept. You just renting out your house to someone and then them sleeping and paying you money.
Yes, exactly.
And that's among the biggest companies in the world. So getting people to believe in you, especially as a woman in this space, is definitely something to think about, or something big. So it's been a big challenge as well. And I think one of the ways I've been able to go through that is just having a very supportive ecosystem around me, people who believe in you, and just you taking over that space and just knowing you belong in that space. So probably what I'd just say is that if you have an idea, just go for it and just build upon it. Half of the people who are in your room don't even know what they're doing. So if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, just do it, honestly.
I love
You never really know if you'll be the next Airbnb or just the next Elon Musk.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that.
So
You mentioned something about being a woman in this ecosystem and getting people to believe in you. How are you doing that, especially specifically focusing on the aspect of you being a female in this industry, which is probably more likely male dominated as well, right? Yeah. So what are some of the things, practical advice that you can give to other females in the industry so they're not dampened in terms of confidence?
Yeah, I think probably one thing that saved me was knowing that you don't need to finish school for you to just start something. Because I feel like what we are conditioned for is just finish school, get into an 8 to 5, and probably in your late 30s is when you think of an idea.
Right.
And mostly that's what happens to women. I don't know. We were at a workshop recently, actually, where they were talking about STEAM and gender equality. So they were talking about how education is basically a privilege to women in this generation. Okay, I'm not saying it is a
yeah. That's
how
what they were
conditioned to be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it was conditioned to be.
Yeah.
So as we speak, them being in that sector, it's just like we want to finish and now get a good job, but it shouldn't be like that. So I think the time period between when you think of something, when you build it, and when you test it out and just put it out there is what constrains us, because it takes a long period of time for you to believe in it. But what I've just learned is just do it quickly, do it faster, because someone else will do it and it's not gonna be you.
Yeah, exactly.
So just make sure you do it. Don't wait for probably someone else to come do it for you. That's what I've learned over the past couple of years, and that's what I'll tell anyone out there. We all have one level field, so don't feel like anyone has higher power than you or is at an advantage. We can all do it, and I believe we can. Yeah,
that's great. And yeah, I think like taking that leap of faith is so important, and just like believing in yourself. And something that I'm always telling the team, right, like even we should not thrive for perfection. I think like you will get there over time, but like what is in the startup space as well, like what's the quickest, dirtiest way that you can test something, right? So it's like you're prototyping. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like what is the cheapest, easiest way for you to test, get your feedback, iterate, as opposed to like trying to build this like perfect thing, spend months on it or spend so much money on it, and then you realize you've like missed goals somewhere, right?
Exactly. I feel like one thing I live by, when we are born, like 100 people are given the same idea. So whoever acts on it first, is the one who becomes the CEO.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so true. There's so much truth to that. And then I guess like, do you see particular challenges about building a tech startup in Africa, like on the continent? Are there some things that have stood out, and how have you navigated that?
Yeah, I feel like in Africa generally we have so many constraints when it comes probably to like resources. Yeah, majorly resources, especially in the manufacturing space or in the hardware space. Recently, I saw that UNDP in Ethiopia opened the manufacturing tech in Addis Ababa. Timbuktu, actually. I think I'm wearing it on my shirt.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
And I found that to be really amazing because it just shows that Africa is really rising when it comes to that space. So especially in that hardware space, very hard to scale.
Yeah.
People who make it actually have worked hard for it.
Right.
So, but then you realize that these constraints are what will make us, or rather what make Africans to get problems, identify problems, and just work with whatever they have. Right. Locally manufacture, locally find solutions that are just inbuilt for us and with us to quickly move throughout these problems. So I believe that using resources efficiently is what we'd have to do at this moment, using whatever we have locally to compete on a global scope. With that, we can be able to compete, I believe, in the AI game.
Yeah, I think like there's still so much opportunity for us to compete effectively in the AI game as a continent. Yeah. But I feel like we are embracing that slowly but surely.
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think success looks like for Zerobionic in the next like 5-10 years?
Okay.
I know it's hard to look past that like 5-year horizon,
Definitely.
but what are the goals that you're trying to achieve?
3 things are at the top of our list as we speak. I know it's probably 15 to 20 days until the year ends.
Yeah.
But so we're looking forward to empowering over 200,000 street kids when it comes to collecting plastic waste and being able to just kind of like get that recycling plant in action. We are also working towards ensuring that in every STEM classroom, we have these robotic exoskeletons so that everyone has equal dignified learning by the end of 2030, actually. So obviously that is something that comes as a result of compounding. So by 2030, hopefully that's something that can come as a result of that. Lastly, we are working towards ensuring that we empower women and girls. We have a special focus for women and girls when it comes to STEM.
Wow.
So I don't know, when you were checking through our website, if you saw, so far we've impacted 120,000 girls. So our focus is on them because we realize that, can you imagine you're hearing impaired, but as well, you're facing the discrimination of being in a marginalized community where probably women don't get access to STEM. So that's why we are working towards empowering them. So those are the 3 main agendas that we have at the moment. However, there are others on the table, but those are the 3 as we speak right now. Yeah.
That's amazing and so powerful, I think. And I think like a couple of learnings. I mean, we were talking before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Something that you mentioned, which is really, I want to touch on, is putting yourself out there, right? Either as an individual or as a business, because that opened up a lot of doors for you. And I feel like there might be a lot of listeners here that want to take that leap of faith, right? Or like to start their own thing. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about social media or putting yourself out there, taking all these different opportunities and maybe the kinds of doors they opened for you as a founder.
So I remember when I was back in my first year of uni, I used to think putting myself out there meant someone is gonna come steal me at night. Someone is gonna come see my social media and just hack me. You know, when cybersecurity was on the rise. Yeah, so I really was so afraid of putting myself out there. I used to be like, I can build and someone will come knock on my door. But then I slowly realized no one is gonna come knock on your door if they don't know what you're doing. So it's up to you to put what you're doing out there for them to see that you're doing something. I was just sharing with you how many opportunities I got within a span of when we were in, just because of posting consistently about it and other things. I've just gotten so many people approaching me with opportunities. And you know, the funny thing actually is, when you make applications to certain probably programs, fellowships, or other things, your social media is what markets you, not what you write in your application. That's something I've slowly come to realize. So if you don't post about it, we live by one mantra actually in our company. If you don't post about it, it didn't happen.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
because
if there's no proof, it didn't happen. Okay.
Yeah. So just put yourself out there. No one is gonna come tell you, oh, I saw you. No, they have to see it live in action.
Yeah.
And I think that's where websites actually started, because we need to see what you're
where where's the proof. Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's really good advice, and I stand by it too. I think like putting yourself out there has a lot of merit to it, whether it's getting customers, partnership opportunities. There's so much, but if you're not actively doing that, no one knows you.
No one knows.
Right? And one-off doesn't do much for your brand. So brand visibility is super important. Awesome. Well, Norah, I want to kind of wrap this up.
Okay.
But before we wrap this up, it's been such a good conversation. And before that, I like to end with doing like a quick, like rapid fire style of questions, right? So I'll ask you a question. You need to answer with like one word or short answers.
Yeah. Okay.
So your first question is, what is a book or podcast that has inspired you lately?
Oh, I'm so tempted to give a long
no. Okay, fine. I'll let you off the hook for this one only.
Okay. There's this book actually. It's called Leadership Principles by Maxwell. You know that book where your parents have it on their shelf for 10 years?
For years or years. Yeah. And you get a newer copy and it still stays.
So one day I just decided, let me pick it up. Actually, that one day is 2 weeks ago. So that's what I've been reading for the past few weeks. And it's really changed my perspective about leadership. When you're a leader, people really think of it as, okay, you're leading a team of people, you have a goal, a direction where you're leading them towards. However, after reading the book, it's really changed my perspective into service leadership, where the people who you're leading should as well grow with you. You're not the only one who's growing. The company is not the only one growing. If you commit yourself to making them grow as well, the company goes a long way as compared to just it growing alone.
Yeah.
So among other lessons that if I took up, I wouldn't leave, but it's a very good book. I'd really recommend it to anyone who's especially in this space, who's becoming a leader. I think leadership actually has a lot. I think it should be a whole course in uni.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it just comes with a lot. But definitely that's been my recent book.
Okay, amazing. I'm glad I gave you more time to speak about it because I think it's important. Okay, what is the one trait that every founder needs to succeed?
Being crazy.
Being crazy?
You have to be crazy. Allow yourself to be crazy, because if they don't call you crazy, I don't think you're doing enough.
Right.
Be crazy enough to believe. Yeah.
Nice. One word to describe your journey as a founder so far.
Stubbornness. Can I elaborate?
Yes, please. Yes, please. We need elaboration.
I think when I was young, if my parents would call me stubborn because I wanted to take something or just watch TV, I'd take it as something bad. But I slowly realized that stubbornness is what gives me the resilience to continue. If something is not working out, I'd still be stubborn till it works out. So that stubbornness is what has led me to be where I am and who I am at the moment. Yeah.
Do you think it also empowers you to say no, or to basically not have to just be a yes man and agree with people in different forums and different rooms? Because I think as a founder, that's really, really important to know your vision, to know what you stand for, and not let people dictate that. Sometimes it's okay because it makes sense, but there are times where you have to draw the line and be like, hey, no, this is not going to work.
Yeah, definitely. I feel we were having a conversation with one of my colleagues about how when you're in the founding space, you always want to say yes to everything, because you always feel like once you achieve one milestone, you have to achieve higher. If you raised this amount, you want to raise more, but it shouldn't be the case, because you'll either be burnt out, deliver low quality content or other output.
Right.
And it shouldn't be the way. So you need to know, you need to have boundaries on what to say yes and when to say no. So that you're delivering the best you can in one specific area. Not to say you can't be a jack of all trades,
Of course.
but you need to deliver something of good quality and the best output. So it does really come into play when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized like people also respect you more when you're able to stand for something or say no, but like, of course, have reason to back it up, but it makes a huge difference.
Definitely.
Okay. One misconception people have about the deaf community.
A study was being done actually, and it was showing that the deaf and hearing community are among the brightest people that we have. So them being given a space to access innovative solutions or innovative materials that they can build with is something that will help them to build the next big thing. I know that's not answering your question. I'm just trying to find the best way to make you see that these people are so bright. If they're given the platform,
Sure.
they'll create something insane.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. And I think that's a really great thought because oftentimes this community is left out, right? And it's great that you're doing work to empower them.
Yeah, just a quick one maybe. I was just thinking to myself, you know how when we are meditating, we are in moments of stillness and that's when the brightest of ideas come to us. So I was just kind of like looking for a way how that meshes in and it just makes so much sense. So definitely if these people are given the platform, we'll see some really insane things. So let's wait and see how that will go.
We're excited to see how it shapes up, but I'm sure there's a lot of truth to that. Final one. If you could automate one part of your startup journey, what would that be?
It's such a funny question because I'm building robots that actually automate almost everything that we do. But it just took me to a funny story. Probably I know we are wrapping up. But just a couple of months ago, we were doing one of our pilots in Rwanda. It was a program by Meta. And at that time, we were in the initial stages. So you remember the question you asked me about the different pronunciations and voice and everything. So we were now doing a demo of how it works. So I don't know, one person outside was just talking and it caught on to it because it's speech to sign, and then we have a screen with generative images of what is being shown. So for example, if it's a chemical equation, the atoms or the various molecules are being displayed on the screen. So I don't know what it caught on to, but it caught on to some vulgar language because at that time we hadn't trained it too much on such. Have you ever had to defend a robot that was jailed? that was us. We were defending the robot so that it's not jailed when we're in Rwanda. We're not even in our own country. So I'd want obviously a lot to be automated.
And this was when it was in front of
everyone,
a bunch of kids.
No, at that time it was a tech conference. Remember I told you we do tech conferences?
Yes. Okay.
So everyone is just laughing. I mean, obviously it was a laughing moment for everyone. But for us, it was just like, oh my God, like we could get arrested for this. So I'd obviously want a lot to be automated at the moment. But then when you think about efficiency or probably where we are at the moment, even on a global scope, I don't think we're at that point yet where we would want things to be automated completely for us. However, probably paperwork.
Yes. I agree. Especially here in Kenya, the amount of paperwork that we have, it's wild. It's wild. But that's a funny story.
I wish
I know in that moment it was not.
It was.
But that just goes to say how much there is to think about, right? Like, yes, you're trying to obviously take what someone is saying and convert that into sign language. But what if there are 2 or 3 people speaking at the same time? Whose voice do they pick up on? So lots of complexities around it. But I think you guys are doing an impeccable job building this solution.
Thank you, Vaidhi.
I'm sure after this episode, there's a lot of people that hopefully would want to reach out to you. So if they do, where can they find you or can they reach out to a member of Zerobionic?
Definitely. On all my socials, actually, it's just Norah Kimathi. But as well, you can find us at Zerobionic Africa on our website, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter.
Amazing. Norah, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. What you're building at Zerobionic, of course, is innovative, but it's transformational as well. And I think you're proving to the world that building technology like this doesn't have to come from Silicon Valley. It can be imagined, engineered, scaled right here on our continent. And I think that's what's really, really inspiring. To everyone that's listening, I hope this conversation leaves you inspired to think bigger, to challenge assumptions, and take that leap of faith. Like she said, you have to get started somewhere. So this is the Entrepreneurial Minds podcast, where we share bold stories and remind you that the future is created by those who refuse to settle. I'm Vaidehi Tembaker, your host, and I will see you on the next episode. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram on entrepreneurial.minds.podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Entrepreneurial Minds Podcast. Thank you very much.